live from my front lounge, and Hazelmere, down the road in Surrey, is the lovely, the gorgeous, the bald Chris. And wait for the name, ladies and gentlemen. This is the name, and he came in an orange jacket.
It's on the screen.
Chris Orange.
Hello there.
Now, first of all, Chris, welcome. But where did the name Orange come from?
Well,
William of Orange, I suppose.
Yes, we think so.
Really?
Well, there's obviously every family has its legends. And
Are you saying you're a legend? Don't show off. Nobody likes to show off.
It goes all the way back. And yeah, there's hope in some of my family, especially my daughters, that it goes back to William. But I think in the end it just goes back to a tiny French village.
Oh yes, of course.
Orange.
Yeah. Oh, well, absolutely. I mean, duck à l'orange. No, I'm a very sophisticated kind of guy. I don't have my duck with lemons. You don't hear duck à la limon. So anyway, enough of this. Now, Chris, you would have known Chris, and many people will say, well, who is Chris Orange? Why is he here? Well, every week you see a picture which welcomes you, all right, onto the site. Says welcome to thing, and you see a new picture, and it's published every week on Facebook, and it's there for everybody to see for the rest of eternity. Probably that's a bit long, but you know, give or take 10,000 years. Yeah. You'll be there for posterity. Your name will be there attached, right? When you're dead and gone, it'll be picture Chris Orange. And so this is the man who took the photographs. And those of you who know him as Project 2 will know that those pictures that were taken are the most magnificent Steinway.
Absolutely.
In here.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. No, the first one. Look, that one.
Yeah,
and the pictures. People often say the picture's better than the record, so they often just put it up and it's wall art. It's because it's so nice. There it is. There it is. Look, can you see it? Yeah, you showing people. And you got some fantastic pictures. And in fact, we were saying they're the best pictures, and I've had a lot of pictures over the years, and they were the most honest pictures I've ever had. So tell us about what you do for a living.
Yeah, well, I'm a photographer, and I work as a landscape and commercial photographer. So I could be shooting food for food magazines, could be shooting landscape photos for a whiskey brand. Can
you tell us something we would have seen? So tell us something that you would have, some food that you would have taken. Sainsbury's?
Not Sainsbury's, no. Shivers whiskey.
Oh, no. I don't, well, my son will. But my son will.
Glenlivet whiskey.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Yeah. That's you?
Yeah, some of them. They have many photographers.
Snap.
But
okay.
I've done all kinds of whiskeys.
Is it difficult?
Gin. Yeah, it can be. It just depends what you're shooting. If you're shooting in, say, my favourite is to shoot those bottles or products in landscape, in kind of settings.
Oh, right, in a setting.
So I would take them, say, maybe I took whiskey to Iceland and shot the whiskey on the rocks, the icebergs.
Oh, right,
and so you have there the sunrise coming up with these beautiful icebergs on black volcanic sands with whiskey there. So they're my favourite kind of commercial shoots.
Yeah, I bet they are. Yeah. I'm afraid I just need to go to the Caribbean to shoot Malibu. I'm sorry, but...
Exactly.
Oh, sorry, I think it's Hawaii. Let's go from there. Then, but I thought we could go kind of just do a tour, don't you?
Yeah.
Just a tour.
Yeah.
I think it would look better. Let's just see. I'm not sure. Let's do 4 location shoots, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's call it Barbados... Hawaii. It's all right. Okay, so you go location shooting.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
And every now and again, you do portraits of me. Like, how do you manage the honesty? What's that about?
Well, I think when you're taking a portrait, for me, I prefer to make the portrait session more like a conversation where I would like to think that I could maybe touch into however you're feeling about the project that we're shooting. And then the hope is then from that I'll capture that moment as you express how you're feeling about that situation. And I think, some of the portraits that I like to look at, I like it where you feel like the person that has been photographed has really kind of engaged into that moment, rather than just kind of a cheesy smile, has actually engaged something within them that they've brought out onto the camera. And I think they're the most powerful portraits, because you're seeing something into the person.
That for me is where you struck gold. It's not because I hate photographs, all right, of myself, and so I don't want people to see in. So what I do is this, and I will give I've had so many photographs taken over so many years because of my on stage presence. The photographers in Glyndebourne were...
Yeah, so the photographer that used to do Glyndebourne and many other opera houses said that he had more photographs of Jonathan than any other person, simply because Jonathan on stage, when
tell the
he's
truth.
a character, is very photogenic.
Yeah.
He's very expressive with those eyes and everything else. But actually, you caught him as Jonathan. That is very rare because normally he gets all tense and he holds it in. So the fact that you've actually caught him very relaxed and very happy.
But also, Chris, it was to do with who you were.
Yeah.
And you immediately hit off. We shared a kind of background, a faith, and a perspective on life, I suppose. There was that. Yeah. But it wasn't. That's not always essential for a good relationship. It's just it's just a thing that you end up sharing common ground.
Yeah.
But you seem to me to be a decent chap who's been on a journey.
Definitely been on a journey. Yes. And
because you're a lot older than you look.
Am I? How old are you?
Yeah, no, you see how the people. Okay, everybody now. I want everybody. Don't say anything. I want people now interactive. I love interactive Facebook. I want people to write because I'm a bitter and twisted man, and I need a little bit of comfort here because everybody says, John, you look a lot older than you actually are. So, Chris, how old do you think he is? Put the numbers in, type them in now. You'll get through.
Whilst they get that, there's an interesting question, that someone has asked that
Yeah.
says, what does Chris think about the ethics of retouching pictures, especially to change people's appearance to suit the brand?
Oh, that's
wow.
cool.
Keep on.
Wow.
I see. My audience, they're intellectuals,
We're
all
getting
right?
deep already.
We're talking the morality, the ethics of photography.
Is it going to be a Photoshop tutorial?
It is. Okay, so chapter 1. Okay, off you go. Discuss.
Well, personally, I like portraits to be as the person. Now, obviously, if you want to look into fashion, that's a whole genre of its own, where I don't shoot fashion, so I don't go down that road. And there is obviously a whole lot of retouching for brands in that.
Yes.
All I would say to that is, I guess they're trying to show a brand, but for my daughters, I wouldn't encourage them to look at those photos and say, you need to be like this, because it's a complete lie.
Absolutely.
And so I don't want them to look at that.
Great.
But what I prefer is honest portraits. And actually, I think brands would do better to have honest portraits.
Yeah, they would. And I think people
we would prefer that. I think we would be more drawn to their brand.
Always.
And you're beginning to see it. I've seen a few photos recently with some clothing brands where you think, actually, that's looking a bit more honest. Yeah.
I think there is a kind of that we start to see through the facade.
Yeah.
And we're going, actually, that's not the because what photographs do is they dictate a lifestyle. They tell you can have this life.
Yeah.
This is the life you need to live.
Yeah. Well, it's the social media life.
Exactly, it's that whole that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I think actually that the mess that I look. I mean, I am a mess. All right. Okay.
I'm sorry, I wasn't quick enough. Oh, darling, no.
Exactly. Just jump in quickly.
Sorry. Can I just say?
Yes.
You've had everything from 21
to 78
to 65. Quite a lot, sort of early 40s, mid 40s.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Shall I say?
Okay,
yes,
go
on.
now.
Go for
on.
it.
Well, I'm currently 46. I'll soon be 47 in a few weeks' time.
Well, you look good. You've lived a good life. You look. Your skin's looking great. Look, we're going to get into why particularly you come in tonight, because I think actually one of the things that we don't do, I guess it's my fault, I'm not great on visual arts. Okay, I'm not great on the visual arts, and I know people out there. Leslie Sutton, who's a great visual artist, and she's Roger and Leslie out there probably watching tonight. We send them big love to you, particularly this time. I don't get it as easily. Okay, I'm a kind of I know what I like kind of you know.
Yeah.
But when I saw what you did, and then that you were publishing a book, well, tell us about that a little bit, just to opening, and then we'll get into some.
Sure. Can I show the book?
You can show
yes.
definitely.
So I have it
show
here
it
with
to
me.
the camera.
Yeah, this came out a week ago, and it's called Beauty in the Wild, and it's a journey around remote Britain. I don't know how much I can say yet.
Go on, keep going, and then we'll get into some pictures.
Yeah.
In a second.
So about 5 years ago, I began a journey to travel to some of the remotest areas around Great Britain. To seek out areas that perhaps were more rarely visited, to display those to a wider audience, partly to say to people, look at what you're missing. people travel abroad, go obviously to amazing countries, but not everyone realizes just how beautiful this country is, especially at its edge.
Yes.
And for me, I'm the kind of person who loves to be, I kind of think about it as the edge of the world. So whether that's where the land meets the tide or whether a mountain meets the clouds, I like to be in that place where I feel like I am on the edge of things and in that remote place. And so I wanted to capture that remoteness and bring that back. And I've spent the last 5 years going out, traveling, shooting it.
And curating effectively your own museum of pictures.
Yeah, and I've picked my kind of favourite 42, which are in this coffee table book.
And actually, you've been highly mentioned in dispatches, have you not? In Sunday Times.
Oh, some of the press, because it got picked up. I think because of the whole staycation thing and people kind of looking for holidays, perhaps within Britain.
Yes.
It ended up being picked up by a few of the national newspapers.
And
so,
they like it?
Yeah, some lovely reviews, which has been great. So
tell us some good ones. Come on.
Oh, the Metro talked about it as just stunning landscapes that capture kind of hidden gems around the country. The Times said some nice things. You can find them online.
Don't hide your light under a bushel. Reviews do mean a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm here promoting it because I believe in it. I think it's beautiful. I mean, we were looking at the at the books. So we were going to look at a few pictures in a minute.
Okay.
Right. Now, that was good. I hope you enjoyed all that. Have they been writing in? Are they enjoying this? Now we've got a rare treat for you because the lovely Claire and Rachel we've managed to.
Yes, they've worked hard on this. It's been very hard for them tonight because they've had lots of technical things to do
as well. And now
they've got some pictures.
We've got some pictures, and we're going to put these pictures up for you. 3 pictures to begin with. And then I'm going to say, change when you've just told us about them.
Oh yeah, sure.
Tell us.
Right. First one's up.
Number one. Now look. So you're going to be talking.
That looks
talk.
lovely.
Right. Tell us about them.
Well, this one is from an island out in the Outer Hebrides of Scotland, and it's called the Isle of Vatersay.
Never even heard of it.
No, and
look at those beaches.
Yeah, it's white sandy. You can't see it, can you? See white sandy beaches, beautiful turquoise water. Beautiful blue sky. It's one of those rare moments in Scotland where you just get the sun absolutely perfect. And so far Outer Hebrides, it's kind of attached to the Isle of Barra. And the Isle of Barra is, if you look on your map and you go all the way out to the Outer Hebrides, you've got the Isle of Harris and Lewis, and then you come right down to the bottom and you've got the Isle of Barra there. Now that has a causeway which attaches itself to this beautiful island.
Depending on the tide, I suppose.
No, they actually built it up as like a bridge now. So, and it's a beautiful place. Now it's really an island of white sandy beaches, a few houses. And on the right day, you could think you are in paradise. Yes. It's one of those places. There's you get these moments in Scotland, especially in the Western Islands, where if you're there on the right day and you've got the right weather, you could think, oh my goodness, this is like
I'm in Caribbean.
Heaven. Yeah. And I happened to be there on one of those days. And so, but also, because I was there for quite a few days, I experienced the opposite of weather whilst I was there as well. So,
but isn't that the thrill of the place?
Yeah, it is. And in fact, that's one of the best things about the outer parts of this island of Britain is that we are battered with storms one minute, and then we are in glorious sunshine the next. And as long as you've got the right gear, you can sustain it.
Yeah,
so,
that's beautiful. It sounds. It looks. It's beautiful. Should we have another one?
Yeah,
have
next
another
one,
picture?
please, Rachel. This one's mountains.
Ah, yes, this is the Coolin Mountain Range.
Something
the Coolins on the
Isle of
Skye.
Yes, one of my faves. And I think the Coolin Mountain Range is one of those ranges in this country where you could visit it 1,000 times and come back with a different photo every time because the light is continually changing.
Yes.
It's like a magical range, I think, because from every angle you've got a different perspective in terms of the height of the mountain, in terms of the beauty. If you go in the winter like I did, I've been in quite a few different seasons to Skye, and my favourite by far is going in the winter because you've got snow on the mountains, then you've got that beautiful kind of contrast of the winter light coming across the focal of the lens, and you can just capture that beautiful kind of contrast of light then on the mountain range. And this one, I was quite far away actually because I wanted to get that sense of distance and the sense of the colours coming from the winter light.
They're stunning. We'll talk about those in a second because we had an experience that ourselves. So, should you have, Rachel, can we have the next one?
Next one is Stone Pillar, I think. Is that right?
A pillar.
Oh,
no,
yes.
the standing stone.
Oh, it's
yes.
a standing stone.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
The person who put that up 5,000 years ago might not consider it to be a pillar.
No. Wow.
But yeah, it is beautiful. And this
Asterix the Gaul.
Yeah, it could have been. This is basically a standing stone. Now, if you go around the Western Isles of Scotland and lots of other parts of the coastal areas of kind of Celtic Britain and way before.
Yes.
You get these standing stones, and some of them are like Stonehenge, where you've got rings of stones. Yes. But some of my favourites are like this one, which is on the Isle of Harris, and it is near a kind of a place called Horgabost, which almost sounds Icelandic.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah, definitely.
So I guess if you keep going, you're going to get to Iceland next. Yeah. So I stood where this standing stone was, and one of the things I love to do, and I've loved on this journey, is to stand in places where people have stood thousands of years ago, where the landscape hasn't changed. Largely would be the same, a very similar landscape to how it was 5,000 years ago. And to think, I'm almost entering a story of sunrise, sunset, over and over again. And the person from that time left this beautiful memory to say, it could have been a burial ground. It could have been.
It's historicity, isn't it? It's just in ever flowing. That sense that you get when you go to a cathedral 1,000 years old. Exactly. Prayers have been said in this place for 1,000 years, and you are there on a day. Exactly. And it's actually. Can we have the screen back?
Yes, I think they're taking back to the screen. I mean, I'd have to say these pictures are stunning and people are really enjoying them. But I mean, they're incredible. The colours on them are incredible, and it's a deeply spiritual experience. Just looking at the photographs, it's wonderful. Actually.
It was for me taking it. It was
Tell us about that journey then. Tell us about that. Going to these places.
Yeah.
Where was your mind with this?
Well, I'd been through actually quite a difficult period in my life personally previously to this, and I think for me, one of the ways that I find, I find a release from stress, or to kind of the way that I deal with pressure is to go to the edges of the world and to experience. It's almost like the landscape has a power to draw out stress and to draw out that sense of. It could be anxiety, it could be dealing with all kinds of issues that have happened to you personally. And I think it kind of, even today, thinking about the lockdown in the last few months, one of the hardest things has been not being able to be in those places where you can find a release of stress and anxiety. And so for me, having been through this difficult period, I was thinking, how can I kind of get this out of my system? How can I work through this? And for me, it was, I've got to get to the edges. I've got to get to the places where I can find this release. And so I just began this journey. I thought, I'm just going to go to the furthest part of the British Isle or Britain
did you just get in the car and go?
Yeah, well, I just said that I just planned it and said to my wife, I'm going to go to shoot this place, an island, out into the Western Isles. I think I started with Harris and Lewis, and spent a few days there and just shot as much as I could. Just look for the light, look for the best kind of places, but more than that, allowed the landscape to have its moment with me.
Yeah, have its say.
Yeah, because you can easily, as a photographer, you can easily kind of breeze in. Take your shots at sunset, at sunrise, and almost pillage from the landscape, as it were. Just take what you want and run. Whereas for me, I was looking for, it's a bit like a pilgrimage, I guess. And that's what it became for me as I travelled to place after place after place over 5 years.
So this is a 5-year journey.
Yeah.
This book represents a 5-year journey for you.
Yeah, exactly that.
This is quite a significant part of your life.
I was down to the Isle of Lundy, which is 12 miles off of Devon. Bardsey Island, which is off of the Welsh coast.
I know it,
up to many of the Scottish islands, and then over to the east coast, where you've got the Farne Islands, and Lindisfarne, one of my favourite places in the world.
Northumbria, that whole...
Absolutely, and so
Listen, I'm gonna do a song. I'm gonna do a song. Is that okay? Yeah. And then we'll pull the other, and it's about letting things speak.
Yeah.
Okay, letting the land speak. I find actually one of my favourite verses ever when I was in my own depression, which was quite deep and horrible, was I need you to get to the hills, the Lake District. One of my favourite places is Scotland in microcosm,
Yeah,
which is
exactly
is the lakes, and go up to the northern lakes and just walk and not be interrupted by anybody, not face any of the stuff that there was. But I run to the hills from whence cometh my help. Yeah. All right, and it was that. But let's look at a little bit more, and then
there's another beach one I think coming up when Rachel's ready
we like the
for
beach.
Tell us about that one then.
I can't see it yet, but I'm sure it's coming.
It's coming up soon.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Rachel Claire. Thanks for doing what you're doing.
Here it comes. My favourite place on earth.
Oh, right, is
this
it?
One's lovely.
Yeah, this is Emmanuel Point on Lindisfarne. So those of you who don't know where Lindisfarne is, it is northeast England in Northumberland. There are 27 Farne Islands, which are islands from tiny kind of very small rocks to bigger islands where you can kind of land on a boat, and they are scattered around the Northumberland coast. And the biggest one by far is attached by a 2 to 3 mile causeway, which twice a day is completely cut off by the tide. Wow. And becomes the most remote, beautiful island. Yes. And on that island is this, you can see there on the picture, a daymark, which is this kind of white pyramid. And it's kind of at one of the it's basically the point where they like to make sure ships don't crash into the island. But it's a place of peace and a place where you can just sit and listen to nature, listen to yourself, listen for whatever you're looking for. You know, you can just sit and just enjoy being somewhere which is remote and just looks out onto the sea. But there's a nature reserve there as well, so you see lots of birds. And
it has the virtue of being called Emmanuel, which for people who are not
it's God
faithful,
with us,
God with us.
Exactly.
Island. I mean, Point. Yeah. That's quite an interesting thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I have never been there. We were supposed to be going up there to, there was a place that somebody offered us on Lindisfarne.
We've stayed
never
there
made it
many times, and it's one of those places where when you do stay there, when the island gets cut off by the tide, there aren't many people staying on the island apart from a few residents, and so you get the experience of just utter tranquility and peace. And those of you who are interested in history, back in around 635 AD, a monk called Aidan, he's known now as Saint Aidan, but I'm sure to his friends he was just called Aidan. And
all right, mate.
And he was given the island by King Oswald to start a work there, a monastery there, where they would then from that place they would use it as a base to go into the mainland and minister to people with plague, people with all kinds of hunger, and they would work there. So it's a beautiful place to go.
Let's have another picture up, can we?
Yeah. This one's a mountain one.
These are the Coolins again, but different angle.
Yes, that's the Coolins. That's the Coolins for you.
They all like the Coolins.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, this part of the book is shot on traditional film cameras. So everyone's familiar with
35mm.
With their digital cameras. Yeah, shot on 35mm film cameras, because I grew up with that, and so I've never let that go. And that is for me kind of real authentic colours and grain, and just the kind. I love the whole feel of a film photo. And this was taken, actually was on the road and driving through the range, and it was in winter, and you just get those moments when you're in the Coolins, which you'll know for having been there, is that you get a sudden burst of light through the snow clouds. And so I just literally had to stop, get out, and just get this photo, which I adore, because it's just full of colour. It's
beautiful.
Of that light coming across through the mountain range.
All those different shades of blue. I mean, it's stunning, isn't it?
So lovely. And mixing in with the authentic film just gives it, for me,
lovely,
it gives it a real...
I hope you viewers are enjoying this.
They are, they're loving it.
I hope this is like a little kind of a journey through. It's
a window into my weird world.
Yes, right. And what's that last one?
There was just the last one is just the picture of the book itself.
Oh, yeah, from the Isle of Harris, that is. Yeah, so you've got a couple of wind farm there on the Isle of
that's
Harris.
what they are.
Yeah, I see those spinning around. They get a lot of use there, get a lot of wind there.
Yes, a lot of wind on there, yes.
But with the snow and stuff.
Can we get back to you, Chris? Let's have you back on screen now.
Please, on the screen.
These have been an interesting journey for you.
Yeah.
Did it change your life?
Yeah, I'd say it definitely did. I'd say it brought me a peace that when I began the journey, I didn't even know that I needed. It's funny, I think when you are in a place of stress and a place of difficulty, I don't think you always know it in the front of your head.
No.
Somewhere in the back and somewhere in your psyche, you're aware that there is an issue and you know, you're dealing with something. But for me, it was a process of having been my first kind of let's get out there quickly, come back, and then over the next few weeks realize what a difference it made to me in terms of my mental health. I then began to think, I'm going to go again, and just keep this journey going, which is why it lasted 5 years, because it was allowing the kind of the nature and allowing that kind of it to have its effect on me slowly.
Did you feel, I mean, those of we never put any punches here, did you feel that God, as you understood him, did he speak to you in this
definitely
in this desolation, you know, on the edge?
For me, I'm a Christian, so obviously I'm following Jesus, and for me, I felt like I was able to give a lot of that worry and anxiety to Jesus and to allow him to just take it. I don't know how he does it. And for me, I feel like God is in nature. That's all I could say. Yeah. I didn't say any magic prayers. I didn't pray with anyone. I didn't meet with anyone. I just sought remote places and walked, hiked, and just photographed what I saw.
I totally get, I totally get this. Actually, can I just say, having been just in the Isle of Wight just recently, my soul, which is troubled because I've got so much stuff going on and so many medical things happening, and it's existential. It's about, am I going to be here in a year's time? And you suddenly, you know what gets me every time is the waves. For me, it's just watching. I sit there for hours just watching the waves. Yeah. I go to sleep listening to waves because they're kind of circular, but they change. They're ever so slightly different. Yeah. And that perpetual nature, and nature in itself is just a wonderful. This book is, I think a lot of people will find this to be a great help to them, Chris. A lot of people for whom, a lot of you can't get out. And I thought of this today. A lot of you can't get out. You're bed bound, or you're homebound. You might be shielding, or you're older and you can't. It's more difficult, and so you live vicariously through others. And your journey is through somebody else having had that journey. I mean, would you say say this is an experience that you thought could be shared with people? Yeah,
I mean that's why it's in this. I mean, I have had the book was released a week ago, and I've had messages this week from people who've bought it to say to me they felt like it was almost like a meditation, that as they looked through the pictures and read some of the text that I've put with each photo, that it just brought calm, brought peace to them. And that's really what I wanted, was that somehow the depth that I found in the landscape. That's what I always kind of, when I think back on my time traveling there, I feel like I found something deeper than myself. Yes. And I think that's what I hope people will get from this, that they'll find something deeper than themselves.
Well, I'm absolutely sure. And you know what? I think actually the wonderful thing about having met you now properly, I think we've started to cement a friendship and a shared thing. And I love this. Yeah. This is what I love. This is what the whole family thing is. Is that you meet people like this, and I know Sue feels the same. Yeah. So, and this is the richness of it, the tapestry that we share these kind of things. And it's so totally outside my area of expertise. I love the fact that it's something I can't do and I haven't got a clue. I just go, point and shoot and kind of thing. Whereas what you're doing is something very different.
It's a much more of a craft, and it's speaking to people. I mean, people have just responded viscerally to your pictures. And people are saying you need to get out to Northern Ireland and do the same thing.
You need to go to Belfast. You do. You need to go up to the glens up there in Northern Ireland, and the top and the right hand side.
A lot of people too are asking where they can get your book from.
Yes,
that's it. Now tell us into the camera.
Claire has been sharing it, but go for it, Chris.
Yeah, so there's a website for the book, and it's called beautyinthewild.click. So it's the name of the book. .click.
.click. CLICK. Okay,
and it's worldwide shipping. So if people are watching from Barbados or wherever, it can go anywhere.
And you're not doing it as a thing from home. It's done on your behalf.
No, I'm doing it.
You're doing it from home.
Yeah, I'm doing it.
Excellent, even better. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
So no, and I would. Can I just encourage you, as I encourage, if you have money and you'd like to buy this. How much is the book, Chris?
£30.
It's £30, but dead on, right? None of this $29.99 rubbish. It's £30. Plus the postage, which is going to be at £1.50 or something like that. So it's really important, if you'd like to support people like Chris, myself, people who are in the entertainment and photography, this kind of industry that has been so heavily hit over this time. Freelancers have been wiped out. So if you've got the money, you can afford to do it and would like to do it, go to, let me tell you a bit more time.
Beautyinthewild.click.
Beautyinthewild.click. And he's going to be delighted to sign copies for you.
Yeah, if you want.
All right.
You can ask for it to be signed on the notes. You can write on the notes. You can say
on the notes. You can
I won't
say,
sign it unless you ask me. I don't want to devalue it.
No, exactly. But it would be nice. I'm sure that you would say lots of love to, and that's what we do.
Yeah.
It's
an exquisite book, people. It's absolutely beautiful.
It's just
really
beautiful.
Is lovely. It's and it touches you whilst you're looking at it.